Sri Bhagavan and me. I was born far away from Arunachala on 19th September 1936 at the village of Ramnath district. It was named Kaana Dukkana, which means the Lord who rules over the crematorium. As a newborn baby, I was brought to the presence of Sri Bhagavan. My parents prayed to him to give the baby a name. Sri Bhagavan said, "He has not given me that trouble because he is born with a name. I was born on Ganesh Chaturthi, which is the god Ganesha's birthday, and I was thus named Ganesan by Sri Bhagavan." In 1938, the family was shifted to Tiruvannamalai. The ashram arranged a small house for our stay near the big temple and a street named Avarankatu Tharu, which also meant crematorium. Even now I live near the Yama Lingam, which is a crematorium, perhaps proving the old adage, the end is contained in the beginning. Even before my head and mind started dominating, the search for truth occupied my heart, imperceptibly though. Two everyday things attracted my attention and puzzled me to no end. The first, my eyes, which were so small, could contain the huge Arunachala hill and the tall temple towers with ease. How is this possible? I asked myself. The second puzzle was, where did the hill, temple towers, and trees in front of me disappear when I closed my eyes? And further, when I opened my eyes again, how and from where did they all reappear? Therefore, what is the truth, the appearance of the scene or its disappearance? Later, when I was studying in the elementary school, I had to go through the courtyards of the big Arunachaleshwara temple. Every time I looked at the huge towers, more than 120 feet tall, I used to mentally admire how grand they were. One day, suddenly for no reason, I squinted my eyes while I was looking at the tower. Wonder of wonders! There were then two towers in front of me. Which of the two towers was true? Among the two, which one was built 700 years ago, and which one was created by the squinting of my eyes? The search continued. In due course, while treading the spiritual path in search of the truth, I became aware that it paved the way to one's birthright for self-realization. I worked hard to obtain the grace of the Guru through intense sadhana, through sacrifices, through sincere self-erasing surrendered service. For I clearly understood that I have to continue to stay in the spiritual search all the time, to know and be immersed in the essence of truth. I confess that my spiritual search from childhood was not to know the truth of existence of God, but the truth about truth itself. The verse of Sri Bhagavan in Reality in 40 verses, that is verse 20, got implanted in my heart very deeply. In it, Bhagavan says, to see God as apart from the seer is only a mental image, since God is not separate from the seer. To abide in the poise of the self, truth, is the true vision of God. The more I started reading Sri Bhagavan's compositions, the more clarity started dawning on me. A realization dawned that to get released from the limitation of mental images in one's mind, one should go beyond it to its very source, to the center without circumference. I started feeling deeply that everyone is God, especially every devotee, old and new. When I was working in Sri Ramanasramam office, we used to go for a walk in the forest with Mouna Swami. Often we would take a detour and step into Mouna Swami's ashram and bask in his presence. He used to give us ginger tea, which we enjoyed very much. Every time we went, I would prostrate to him. While getting up, and I was still in the kneeling position, Mouna Swami would put his hand on my head, ruffle my hair, and then put his head on my head. At that time, I thought that it was his way of greeting me. Even a few years later, when I was there with my friend Anuradha, he did the same thing. Anuradha asked Mouna Swami why he was ruffling my hair and putting his head against mine. And he said, in 1938, Venkatu, which is what Mouna Swami called Ganesan, his family was brought to Tiruvannamalai. This Ganesan was a toddler. He had a peculiar habit when he was taken to Sri Bhagavan's hall. He would climb down from Sri Bhagavan's sister's lap, crawl towards Sri Bhagavan's sofa, and try to climb up. Sri Bhagavan's attendant, Krishna Swami, would stop him and place him back on Sri Bhagavan's sister's lap, saying, "Do not try to establish any special family relationship here." One day, Sri Bhagavan had sent Krishna Swami away on some errand. But this baby Ganesan very quickly crawled up to the sofa and climbed on it. To prevent him from falling off the sofa, Sri Bhagavan pressed baby Ganesan down into the sofa with his left foot, and placing his right foot on his crown, ruffled his hair. And Sri Bhagavan exclaimed, all these days, his repeated attempts to climb up on the sofa were foiled, but today there was no one to abort his efforts. So finally he succeeded. Sri Bhagavan thus blessed baby Ganesan profusely. My master's holy foot is there, Anuradha. I put my head not on Ganesan's head. I am putting my head on my master's holy foot. One day, when I was 3 years old, I went and prostrated to Sri Bhagavan. When I got up, Sri Bhagavan said, Ganesa, go, your Noi is seated there. Go, sit on her lap. I ran joyfully towards the elderly American lady and happily clambered onto her lap. She was Eleanor Pauline Noi. Much later, I came to know that Noi was all the time shedding tears in the presence of Sri Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan might have wanted to distract her by making me sit on her lap. This was not the only incident where Sri Bhagavan's grace linked me to her. The same year, I went one day into the dining hall when Sri Bhagavan and the devotees were seated for lunch. Heading straight for Eleanor Pauline Noi, I insisted on eating from her leaf plate. The cooks and several of the seated devotees were aghast, steeped as they were in orthodoxy. For them, even the thought of a Brahmin child sharing food from the plate of a Westerner was abhorrent. They came running to save me from this so-called unthinkable act of pollution. Adamant on having my way, I started throwing a tantrum and creating a scene. Sri Bhagavan's attention was drawn to the whole drama. With a single look, he took in what was taking place and advised the cooks, "Bring a plate of food with a spoon in it and show it to the child. He will come along with you. His insistence is not to eat from her plate. Since Ganesan has never seen anybody eat with a spoon, he too wants to eat with one." The cooks did as Sri Bhagavan suggested, and I followed them like a happy puppy. Sri Bhagavan looked at me and remarked, "See, your wish is fulfilled." Then he turned to the cooks and others and said, "And your problem too is solved." I was very short until adolescence. People used to call me Kutai, meaning shorty in Tamil. There would be 100 people eating in the ashram dining hall in the presence of Sri Bhagavan. Everyone would be served first, and Sri Bhagavan would be served last. He used to pay much attention to the food service. I wanted Sri Bhagavan to look at me with the same attention. So I thought that if I too served food, Sri Bhagavan would give me the same attention. I went inside the kitchen and said, "I want to serve food." All the cooks were elderly widows, and they were all very fond of children, especially me, because I moved very closely with Sri Bhagavan whenever and wherever he walked. The vessels were so big and I was so short, the cooks restrained me, saying, No, that's only for grown-up people, not for children. You go and sit with Sri Bhagavan and eat." When they refused, I started to cry out loud and threw a tantrum. Sri Bhagavan heard this, looked up as if to inquire, "What is happening?" One of the cooks told him, "Our baby Ganesan is throwing a tantrum." "What? What does he want?" "He insists that he would serve food." "What is wrong with that?" Bhagavan said. "But Bhagavan, he is so small. All our vessels are bigger than him." "That's your problem, not his. Put salt and a small spoon in a cup, give it to Ganesan, and send him to me." So they did. I felt very proud. I came to Sri Bhagavan. He looked at me and asked, "You want to serve?" I said, "Yes, Bhagavan, I want to serve." Of course, what I wanted was his attention. "Do you know how to serve?" Sri Bhagavan asked me. I said, "No." "Do you know why you want to serve?" "No." "Do you know where to serve?" And once again I said, "No." Sri Bhagavan smiled and said, "I will teach you." "Do you know what is in the cup?" "That I know, Bhagavan. It is salt." I said very proudly. "Do you know how much to serve?" "No, that too I do not know," I said, rather ashamed. He said, "Take some in the spoon." No, not that much." "Ah, that's it." "Do you know where to serve?" "No, Bhagavan." "Put it on the banana leaf on the top left-hand corner." I was very happy because Sri Bhagavan was paying so much attention to me. I immediately put the salt on his leaf, just as he instructed. "It doesn't matter today," he said, "but you should serve this leaf last." I looked at the others in the big dining hall. Then I went and served them. And when I looked back, I was thrilled. Sri Bhagavan's attention was on me. Mouna Swami, Sri Bhagavan's younger brother and the Sarvadhikari, the sole manager of the ashram, was my grandfather and had always been very kind to me. He would brush my teeth in the early morning, whenever I happened to stay back and sleep at the ashram, and then take me to Sri Bhagavan at the hall and make me prostrate before him, saying, "Here is Bhagavan, our God." I am deeply grateful to him for taking me to Sri Bhagavan's sacred presence, the importance of which I did not understand then, but which I now gratefully remember. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I used to run away from our home in town and walk to the ashram. I did this all alone in the night. In those days, the streets were dark and desolate. The first time I did this, Swami was taken aback, and he asked me, "Why did you come?" And I replied, "I didn't agree with my father, so I walked away." He immediately took me to Sri Bhagavan and said, "He has walked all the way alone without fear. I have already sent a messenger to his father." Sri Bhagavan looked at me and gave a mischievous smile. Swami took me back to the office wherein he used to sleep on a comfortable bed and offered it to me. "Why did Bhagavan smile at me?" I asked. "When you were 2 years old, you got into an empty bullock cart, which was yoked to a bull. Its driver, too, wasn't around. Startled by a visitor suddenly opening an umbrella, the bull sped away with the cart into the town. We frantically searched for you in the ashram, but you could not be found. We went to Sri Bhagavan and informed him that you were missing. Sri Bhagavan said, 'What can we do? Running away from home is built into our family.'" "What did Bhagavan mean by that?" I asked, puzzled. And he said, "Bhagavan's father had an elder brother called Venkatesa Iyer. He had also run away from home on a spiritual quest," Swami told me. We did not have any toys at the ashram. One day, an American visitor sent 100 different beautiful toys, requesting they be distributed among the children in Sri Bhagavan's presence. Swami called me and said, "Go to the hall and choose a toy now. In a few minutes, all the other children are going to come. Whichever toy you like, you tell Bhagavan." So I went in. Only Sri Bhagavan and I were there. I was so short and my eyes were so wide, I had never seen so many toys in my life. My eyes went straight to an airplane, something I had never seen before. I used to occasionally see some small, tiny thing in the sky making a lot of noise, but I didn't know what it was. This airplane was big, not really a toy. It was made to scale. Sri Bhagavan called me. "Ganesan, come. Some American has sent all these toys. Show me the toy you like and take it. But remember, you can choose only one." I ran and picked up that airplane. "You like that one?" "Yes, Bhagavan, I like it." I was so excited. Then Sri Bhagavan said, "Come, bring it to me." I went to where he was seated, and he said, "Do you know what an airplane is?" "I don't know, Bhagavan," I said. "See, this is the propeller." And he touched the propeller to make it spin. "We start this first. These are the wheels. The plane will be running along on them. And then, zoom." My excitement and joy were increasing. And he continued, "Look at this. These are all the passengers." He pointed through the window. "And this man here is the pilot." Sri Bhagavan gave me joy by simply explaining a toy airplane. I can never forget this. Even now I can see how it became me and expressed my joy. It's so beautiful. At that moment, Sri Bhagavan became me. I was in such tremendous excitement, and I could see the same thing in him. A jnani, a realized sage, is like a mirror. I was in heaven. And bringing me back to earth, Sri Bhagavan concluded, "Don't break it. Keep it safely." To live with a realized sage is the most natural way of living. It is something we have forgotten. We fill our lives with worries and plans, desires, and they all disturb us. realized sages like Sri Bhagavan, being established in that inner truth, are always happy, and they make everyone else happy. Like a mirror, they reflect what you are, both the truth and the untruth. If you are misled by vasanas, the latent tendencies of mind, they point it out. This is your vasana, the untruth. Come back to the truth. During the lifetime of Sri Bhagavan, there were only two huge functions. One, his birthday celebrations, the Ramana Jayanti, and the other, the Maha Puja, which is Mother Alagamal Day. When thatched sheds would be erected on vantage positions during these times. Underneath these vast sheds, mounds of soft sand would be heaped to be spread evenly on the previous day of the function. I was 6 or 7 years old and was very fond of swinging energetically on the poles supporting the sheds. The thrill was in swinging oneself as high as one could and then let go of the pole to land on the soft heap of sand. Many children of devotees and visitors would wait for me to start the proceedings. One day, while trying to land, I overshot the sand mound and fell hard on the ground. Consequently, I badly fractured my right upper arm. It was so severe that the bone protruded. The pain was excruciating. Everyone gathered around, but I did not allow anyone to come near me, especially the ashram doctor, Dr. Shiva Rao. There was a great commotion, and it happened opposite to Sri Bhagavan's hall. I was adamant that I should be taken only to Sri Bhagavan's presence. By that time, ashram authorities found out that the village bone setter was also there on his usual visit to have Sri Bhagavan's darshan. They took me inside the hall. Sri Bhagavan was alone, and I was crying out loud in pain. Sri Bhagavan called me near him and looked at the protruding bone. He consoled me. See, I also fell down and broke my collarbone while trying to save a squirrel from an attacking dog. It was very painful. This bone setter from the nearby village of Valuvagai has applied a paste on the affected shoulder, and I felt a soothing chillness around the broken bone. He gently but suddenly pushed the broken bone into position. Immediately, the pain got reduced, and within a day the pain was gone, though the discomfort of having the arm in a sling was there. He is a very good gentleman. Let him set your bone. You too will not have any pain then. Everything will be all right. Sri Bhagavan's consoling words persuaded me to agree. The bone setter smilingly held my arm gently in his hands. He diverted me, saying, "Ganesa, see, Bhagavan is showing you something." When my attention and my eyes were turned to Sri Bhagavan seated behind me, I felt a momentary shock of enormous pain. The bone setter had put the protruding bone back into its position. He then quickly applied a soothing paste on it and dressed it up. Amazed, I turned again to Sri Bhagavan. "What you said is true, Bhagavan. The pain is not affecting me. I feel the coolness of the paste taking away the pain." After a few days, my arm became all right. But the next year, too, I broke the other arm. Then, almost like clockwork, the very next year, I broke my arm again for the third time. Every time, the same village bone setter would make my arm perfect again. The beauty of all those occurrences was, after this, any day I went and prostrated to Sri Bhagavan, he would ask me, "So, which arm did you break today?" In fact, this whole sequence of events that took place in front of Sri Bhagavan was truly a blessing. Not only pain does not affect me, but I have never broken a bone since then. Between 12 noon and 2 p.m., Sri Bhagavan's devotees refrained from entering into the hall to give Sri Bhagavan a little time to relax and be alone. At least that was what the devotees thought. Sri Bhagavan, on the other hand, took those 2 hours to keep himself busy by feeding the squirrels. Once I happened to see that remarkable spectacle through the window. I was spellbound. After that, whenever I happened to be at the ashram, I never missed the golden opportunity of witnessing the beauty of the master interacting with his chosen children, nearly 50 pious squirrels. Offerings made to Sri Bhagavan were kept on a stool in front of him. He seldom looked at them, except on 2 occasions. One, when the mountain bananas were offered, and the other, when cashew nuts were offered. On such occasions, Sri Bhagavan would pointedly request the attendant to keep them next to him. Otherwise, all offerings would be sent to the ashram storehouse. The reason behind this was that cow Lakshmi would eat only one variety of plantain fruits, called mountain bananas, while the squirrels would eat only cashew nuts and no other nuts. After lunch, Sri Bhagavan would take a long walk from the ashram dining hall to the next compound, Palakotu, every day. That's where the sadhus lived. Devotees had grown banyan trees on the way to give shade to Sri Bhagavan. They had grown to 6 or 7 feet and were still tender. For us boys, it was a childish adventure to climb up the trees, hit it with a stone, and get excited to see milky sap oozing out. One day, Sri Bhagavan happened to be walking underneath, and I was the only one boy up on the tree. I was so excited to see the milk ooze out that I did not notice Sri Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan looked at me with visible irritation and ordered me to climb down. If somebody hits your body and blood oozes out, how would you feel? Will you not feel pain? Will not the tree similarly experience pain when you hit it with a stone like that? Should you not be as considerate to the tree as you are considerate to your own body? These words of Sri Bhagavan brought about a marked change in my attitude towards trees. Ever since, I have great respect for trees and plants. Earlier, I have shared with you how I came to live permanently at the ashram from 1959 onwards. Obviously, the physical presence of Sri Bhagavan was not there, yet his assurance, "Where could I go? I am here," was my strongest support to pursue my spiritual sadhana. The old devotees of Sri Bhagavan were of tremendous help to me in every step that I took. In the next sections and following pages, I would be sharing with you the details of how the old devotees pointedly guided me by even taking me to the sages and saints who molded my spiritual life.